As you grow older, time seems to become ever fleeting, each day passing faster and faster. Precious moments lost to typing away on computers and filing paperwork, trapped in a gridlock of metal cages on wheels for hours on end on what should be a mere 15-minute drive, or hours lost to slumber and exhaustion. And even should you have found a way to reduce that necessity for sleep, it may still feel like it's not enough. You could be facing a terminal illness and only wish to live longer, but calling out to him did not succeed. And yet, you can't leave your children behind. Or perhaps above all, and most simply, fate has said your end is near. Don't you wish you could give anything to have more time? More time to spend with those you love, to experience the facets of life, to go places you could only dream of visiting. So, what are you willing to give? To risk? If you truly wish for more time, or perhaps are insane enough to chase any form of gamble, then there is a way. See, time watches over us all, binds us to existence only temporarily, until they decide to take away that right and offer your soul to oblivion, their lady of love. But as much as time seems to be an orderly creature, one of rigid, unmalleable pace, they have a penchant for chaos. It's why they seek to impress oblivion, after all, slowly marching us all to our inevitable doom into her awaiting arms. And one little-known habit that time picked up from their mistress is their love for gambling. Since we worship time in every single moment of our lives, with their altars existing in every single person's home or place of work across the globe, they do deign to gaze upon us every so often, and have taken a liking to a particular game of chance long lost to humanity. Ticking away only second by second for all of eternity, they enjoy mixing things up here and now, then and soon. Sadly, time does not give many partners to play with, but today I will instruct you on how to initiate a game of Queen's Hunt with time. Advisory: if you intend on performing this rite, it is extremely important that you are familiar with the entirety of the steps ahead of time. Your game partner has no patience for those who waste their gift. You will require the following: a normal deck of 52 playing cards, a candle, a method of lighting the candle, a black marker, and a table with 2 chairs. Please ensure there are only 2 chairs. You do not want unwelcome players arriving to join the game. Start by blocking all sources of light and prying eyes from the room you intend to do this in. If performed during the daytime, do your absolute best in making the room pitch black. Draw the curtains, lock all the doors, and turn off the lights. You may light the candle prior to this, but once you begin, the candle is the only source of light allowed. No electronics must be on your person, and you must remove all devices capable of displaying time from the room before beginning. They are altars, after all, and every gaze at them you've given over the years was another offering. Too many offerings in one place, and, well, you'll learn about what they're capable of soon. Once the altars have been removed and all sources of light or interruption has been denied, take a seat at the table. In the murky, flickering candlelight, take the black marker and draw the invocation symbol on your non-dominant hand. A simplistic hourglass made of 2 triangles with a line through the middle, parallel to the bases of each triangle. Open the deck box and place the deck in the middle of the table, if you've not done so already. Now, you may call upon the entity. Declare aloud, "I feel the call of the Queen's Hunt. Do you?" There may be no response for some time. You must sit there, in the dark, and wait to see. If you have second thoughts about this, aren't feeling lucky anymore, or want to end the ritual for any reason prior to time's arrival, simply blow out the candle and turn on the lights. Do not attempt to stand or leave the table. This room no longer belongs to you, only the candle. After some matter of minutes, perhaps seconds if they are available, you may hear a ticking. A slow, deep click of gears sounding off at the same pace over and over again, approaching from the opposite of the table. Then, a thud, the sound of a leather boot hitting the floor, then dragging along its surface as though its leg were injured. Once they reach the table, fight the urge to show any visible reactions to its appearance. Remain calm as the gears across their body churn, squishing the multitude of muscle strands and blood vessels that glue their shoddy frame together beneath that leather duster. You may also begin to feel strange. Your perception of time will be in flux, speeding up and slowing down ever so minutely for varying intervals, but just enough that moving your hand will be noticeably different. Do not blame them. All major entities have auras such as this. But unlike the Sandman who forces his will upon you in an attempt to bring slumber, time is indifferent. All beings are constantly moving within time's flow, so why should it pay any more attention to the fish by the shore when there is an ocean of life before it? Granted, you were nipping at their toes by inviting them here. Time will not waste themselves. Their only interest is in the Queen's Hunt, and so any attempt at questioning or conversation will be flatly ignored. However, once they have taken a seat across from you, the gears will stop momentarily, only to click hard and loud, clinking together and crushing flesh to produce sounds, words, language. They will ask you a simple question from that gnashing tongue. Day or night? This is where I must explain the rules to Queen's Hunt. It is a fairly simple game, but be sure to familiarize yourself with the rules. Time will not tolerate someone reading off of a cheat sheet. Time will always take the deal, giving themselves and you a hand of 4 cards each. Then, 1 card from the top of the deck is placed face down between the players and the deck nearby. The goal of Queen's Hunt is to claim the 2 queens that match the color you chose at the beginning of the game, red for day or black for night. The question you are asked at the start of play is the color you would like to hunt for. When a turn starts, the opening hand dealer or the winner of the last turn goes first. You are betting the values of your cards against your opponents, and the winner of each bet claims the card in the middle of the table. Aces are worth 1, jacks are 11, and kings are 12. Queens have no value and cannot be played. They must be kept in your hand should you collect one. You may bet any number of cards on your turn, provided you do not exceed a sum of 12. Going over 12 is forbidden, so count correctly. If you play first, you cannot adjust your sum after your opponent plays either. If you bet higher than your opponent, you win the turn and claim the face-down card in the middle of the table for yourself. All played cards that turn go to a discard pile next to the deck. Then, each player draws 1 card from the top of the deck if they have less than 4 cards in hand. If you already have 4 cards, do not draw. Play continues as described above until a win condition is met, or the deck runs out of cards, at which point both hands are revealed. As stated prior, this is an extremely easy game to play, but it is highly reliant on chance. You have no idea what you are betting on, only praying that the face-down card is one of the queens or a number with high value to use later on. And betting with multiple cards is risky too. If you play 2 or more cards, if you do not win, you will be left with 1 less card until you decide to pass for a turn and possibly miss out on a queen. Do not let that pang of realization overwhelm you. Just because time exists at all points, this is the one activity, the singular moment in history, that they choose not to gaze upon. They value truth and honesty in this game of Risk, and will not look ahead or along any other paths to determine your cards. It is by their will alone that you are allowed to have a chance in this game. Be grateful. If during the game you wish to end it early, fearful of what the end result may be, you may blow out the candle. Doing so will make the disgruntled being pause, place their cards on the table, and walk away into the darkness. Once the sound of grinding gears has completely disappeared, you may get up and turn on the lights. Under no circumstances should you ever try this ritual again if you do this. Of course, this is provided that you can even blow it out. As mentioned before, time's influence is even more distorted the closer to the entity you are, and sitting across the table from them, you are most certainly going to experience some fluctuations. 1 minute you're at your current age, and the next your card hand may be shaking uncontrollably. You'll drop the cards on the table, fingers too weak to hold even 4 flimsy pieces of cardboard. The candle will illuminate the vast wrinkles across your skin, and your whole body will ache and droop. Your mind will wander, forgetting why you were even here. You might get up to go get a glass of water and try to leave the table. You may find yourself lost, hobbling around in the dark for the remaining minutes of your life, lost to eternity. Or you may end up the other way. As your maturity decreases, your interest in the Queen's Hunt will wane. You won't understand the rules, simple as they are, because you are incapable of comprehending them yet. Tiny fingers make bad plays, putting all the wrong cards out and losing round after consecutive round to time. Only when the tide shifts and you return to your true age will you realize what has happened, and the dread will truly sink in as the deck gets lower and lower, and you find yourself 1 queen short or more. And with the more altars you left around in the room prior to playing, the effects of these fluctuations will only grow worse. The last subject to discuss is the series of game-ending states. These are the various ways you may win or lose the Queen's Hunt, and the resulting events that will unfold. Should you find both of your own queens, you may reveal your hand immediately and state the appropriate victory phrase according to your chosen color. Dawn breaks if you are playing day, or night falls for playing night. Time will verify the win before lowering their head and responding thusly. So it seems. The entity will then stand and leave, just as before. Wait until you hear no more sounds before leaving the table yourself. Your reward for winning in this manner will depend on the sum of the 2 non-queen cards in your hand. That amount of hours will become the amount of extra hours per day you will be permitted to experience. They can be split up however you wish and used concurrently alongside your normal time. If you were bored at work, for example, you could simply desire to use your extra time, go for a 3-hour walk, then return and keep working as though you never left. No one will notice your absence because there was none, and the world does not freeze either. You are simply permitted to experience 2 places in space at the same time, for a given amount of time each day. Still, this should be more than fulfilling for your needs. Note, this ability will not be accessible during any other rituals you may perform. Alternatively, if time should find both of their queens, they will make the same declaration, and you must respond in kind with, "So it seems." This is one of the punishments you may encounter for losing the game. The sum of time's value cards will be taken away from your daily allotment in hours. Your days won't become shorter per se. You will lose complete moments from anywhere in your history that time pleases. Maybe sometimes a few hours of work will fly by and you won't even notice. That's good. But it won't always be that way. A fight with the spouse that's starting to heat up, and suddenly you find yourself in an empty apartment with no memory of what had happened. Perhaps you'll be driving home from work, and time plucks a mere 10 minutes away. Your consciousness will pick back up as you cry out from your broken bones and the fire lapping at your face, having crashed into another vehicle. Stealing away your daughter's wedding, or that concert you've been waiting to go to for months. Whenever time decides to, you will lose those. In some cases, you'll be no better off than a late-stage dementia patient. I recall meeting a poor soul who lost this way to a king and a jack. It took 2 weeks for him to dictate his whole story. Should both players finish with a queen of each color, or obtain both queens of their opponent's color, it is a tie. Nothing lost, nothing gained. When this occurs, time will ask the question again, offering you a new game. You can accept this offer if you so wish, but for most, the strain of one game alone is enough. To decline the request, politely tell them that you've had enough for now and shuffle the deck back together into one whole before blowing out the candle. Again, wait before leaving the table. Now, for the most extreme end results. Should you finish the game with 3 queens, both of yours and one of the entities, you will receive the sum value of your last non-queen card in years. They can be spent as a pool rather than a daily allotment. If you want to, you can even hold on to them and save them to extend your life. Naturally, should this be time's result, you will lose those whole years wherever it seems necessary. I spoke with one woman who missed out on her son's early years, from birth at the hospital to the middle of his first year of grade 2. Or maybe, time will gift you to his beloved early, and just neatly lop those years off the end of your life. One moment you'll be on a second date with someone you're feeling real good about, and the next, you're not. You're not anything. You become nothing. If the queens are the inverse, however, having only one of your queens but both of your opponents, this is also a tie state. And then there's the jackpot, the full hand. If by some complete miracle of fate you are able to collect all 4 queens, simply show your hand and declare, "I am the night and the day." Accounts of what the reward actually is are very few and far between, as this is an incredibly rare circumstance. That being said, I did meet one man who claimed to have done just that. He stated that upon making the declaration of having 4 queens, all of time's gears came to a jolting stop. At first, the man feared that he had angered the entity, but instead the gears began turning again after a moment. The being stood slowly, metal creaking and flesh snapping apart before rummaging around inside their jacket for something. After a moment, they held a pocket watch in their hand with fingers made from hands of a clock. They screwed off the rusty back, then reached deeper into themselves. To the man's horror, he heard a loud chunk as time itself ripped a gear from their own innards and placed it in the little pocket watch. They then placed the watch upon the table and disappeared into the dark. When the man concluded the ritual, the pocket watch remained. According to him, time had given him his own altar. He showed me the pocket watch, and while it was incredibly ornate and beautiful to behold, I chose to avert my gaze. Doubtless, he had already gotten many to give him offerings in the past, and I was concerned about what he was already capable of. I didn't need to be giving him any more power than he may have already had. But finally, there's the matter of losing to all 4 queens, or if you should try to cheat time or attempt the ritual again after blowing out the candle mid-game. For losing so completely, or for being a terrible sport, time will finally put their gaze upon you. They will focus on that lone fish for once, nipping at their toes, and grant it the ultimate punishment. No, you will not be erased from history. You will become one with it. Every particle of your very being will be meticulously placed upon every single horrible moment in time. The burning of the dinosaurs, gas deaths in the war trenches, torture in the basements of the most cruel and deplorable individuals known to man. And all the parts of you will be forced to experience every one of those moments, all of the time, for the rest of time, suffering in truly eternal agony. No rest, no escape, only eternity and suffering across it. Maybe then, you will finally understand a fraction of what time witnesses, and why they find oblivion so attractive. Of course, this is only the worst outcome of all, and you'd either have to be incredibly unlucky or the type of person that deserves it to be punished like that. And should you survive your ordeal, you are free to invite time over again and again for more games of Queen's Hunt, to test your luck and gain more history, more memories. So, are you feeling lucky? Most heartfelt greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. I eagerly welcome you to Sturgeon's most premier station, Dusklight Radio, hosted by yours truly, the effervescent, ethereal, and immersive Everett J. Blackwell. Dusklight gives thanks to our purple crayon eaters, Creature Creations, Kid Kiriyama, Emma, Aiden, Becky Sinani, Rory Shamba, Camilla Roca, Oliver Yourface, Suds, PV69, Desert Bluffs, Justy Blue, Paul J. DeSena, Darkness Within, Christian Hatting, Calculi Zero, Mothman, Orphan Yuka, Okami-san, Ian Hancocks, Echo Kane, Gail Alstad, Alex, Candyman Gloving, Ashabel, Phi, Max, and Feeny Von Karma. Our janitors, Isabel Vladislaus, Mima, Razzie Berry Pie, Ryan Moore, Ressery Cardwell, Brianna Elliott, Darktail, Kenza, Oliver Topolug-Natale, Alex Hansen, Allie, and a special shout out to someone joining the crew in Art Nightborn. Art spends his nights taking people around Sturgeon in his yellow cab. I guess Art needed extra money, especially in this economy. DJ Muffin, Shane Lewis, Dux, Joy Flint Healy, Sabiel Eclipse, Death 31, Heather Cayley, Adrian R, Amy, Arkham Cookie, and Alex Nunez. Our Nightmare Detectives, Kikuhime 1202, Halo Davis, Mama Chewy, Melanie S, and Fox Clifford. Our Void Walkers, Domaine S. Silvers, Rat Squash, and Professor Creepypasta. Now you will meet more of our new Blackwell family members in a future upload, but for now, let me run down the list of who we've got. Our new Blackwell members marching their way into town are Sabrina Blackwell, Biggie Blackwell, Aphrodite Blackwell, Wojciech Blackwell, Olivia Blackwell, and Mike Blackwell. You'll learn more about these fascinating new members of our family in an upload very, very soon. Then, of course, there is Great Uncle Ven Blackwell with his forbidden knowledge, Izzy Blackwell, our resident bug devourer, TJ Blackwell, who seems hell-bent on stealing the spot of our janitor supremo and his purple crayon stash, Delira Blackwell, our new resident physician and provider of pestilence pills and poultry, Adela Blackwell's firebending and illusions and grand waffling, Ethan Blackwell, abyssal fisher and repo lord, Jackal Blackwell, head chef and mystery meat purveyor, Clue Blackwell, the chrysalis of unknowable horrors, Tabitha Blackwell, void water baron and forever frenemy to our last entrant, Papa Kyle Blackwell, from his tower of bones, broth, and spines, preparing the outer gods to recognize his claim alongside his hobo queen and little inheritor of the bone throne, who is already 2.5. We love and fear you, Papa. We thank you humbly for your patronage and look to see you bright and early for Dusklight orientation. Purple crayons and existential dread will be provided. And one last time, listeners, close your eyes and breathe with me. Remember, no matter how bad things are, how cruel people can be, and how heavy your shoulders may feel with the weight of the world bearing down on them, Dusklight will always be here to lift the load and provide you with some respite. Drink some hot cocoa with chocolate sprinkles and fat marshmallows. Have all the Christmas candy you can manage, watch a video about liminal spaces and cryptid sightings, and sleep on the cool side of the pillow with the window open and the stars twinkling down on you. Start and end each day with kindness in your heart. You matter, you are loved, and every day is another chance. I'll see you again when the sun sets and dusk enters the station.